big theme that came out of the research that's really important for us was this one on the importance of saving and how Hispanic millennials are really pragmatic savers and very averse to debt. Every year, if you're not familiar, we put out a guide, the Consumer Action Handbook, and its sister publication, the Guia del Consumidor. It's a free resource from the government that is full of information on understanding credit and debt, your rights if a debt collector calls, how to get out of debt, how to avoid scams, people trying to tell you they will magically fix your credit score. And so, again, every year we roll out the new editions, and we always do a big marketing campaign around this. And so we've looked at different ways to approach this in the past, and this year, thinking about this theme was important, knowing how important video is as a communication effort to the Hispanic audience. We rolled out a campaign with our good friend, Professor Know-It-All, in English, in Spanish. His name is Professor Stabalatodo. So we put out videos in English and Spanish covering the same topics. And the idea here with these videos is that they were cheeky and a little bit fun, but the premise was everybody's got that friend who's a know-it-all. And if you have a question, they will give you the answer and act like it is 100% the gospel and it is right. And usually they're really wrong. And so we were kind of playing at that theme and that idea. And so I have a video here, which I actually, if we have time at the end, I'll go back and show it because I want to make sure we can get through everything, and I don't want to take time away. But the idea was that someone would present a question, and Professor Know-It-All would come in and give you the answer, but then our actual very smart person would say oh, Professor, you're not right. What you really want is this guide, which has the trusted, true information on how to avoid that. And these videos were super successful for us. Like I said, if we have time, I'll come back and I'll play this one. It helped drive orders and downloads of both our publications, so we were really, really happy with that. And then the last theme I want to hit on quickly is that home ownership is important to Hispanic millennials, but there are many perceived barriers. And this actually was interesting to us because home issues aren't something that we talk about super frequently, but the Department of Housing and Urban Development approached us about a campaign that they wanted to do. And again, they have tons of resources and information on affordable housing and making your home safe and things like that. So they reached out to us about doing a campaign in English, actually kicking off this month, on healthy homes, making sure your home's safe, etc. And one of the girls on our team actually looked at the information, and she's one of our bilingual speakers, and said, hey, this would also be great for our Spanish language audience. I mean, housing is a really big, important thing for them. And so we took a look at what HUD had provided us, and we decided we were going to run with the English campaign as it was, but we found a lot of times when we want to take something that's presented in English and switch it into Spanish, you can't just do a one-for-one translation or idea. So we've kind of come up with this idea that internally we call transcreation, which is where we take the general theme from our mass market English language campaign, and yes, we change the language, we move it to Spanish, but we look for the cultural relevance, we look for the emotional connection. We don't just, again, do that one-for-one. And so I think the best example I can actually give of this is actually an article that we published back in February in English and Spanish around Valentine's Day. We were putting out an article on resources for people who are victims of domestic abuse. And in English, the article was pretty straightforward. I mean, it dealt with a very serious topic, but it listed all the places that you could go to get help, the confidential hotlines, shelters, etc. Well, on the Spanish side, there's a really big issue that I was not aware of, but again, one of our bilingual staff members brought up that, well, if you depending on your immigration status in the country, you might not feel safe going to these places. You might not feel it could be a barrier to you. And if we had just taken that English language article and just translated it word for word and sent it out in Spanish, it would have totally missed that whole very important culturally relevant point. And so we were able to transcreate the message, adding that in and making sure that the message we were putting out there was very culturally relevant, sensitive, and still it was super impactful. And so that's what we think of when we look at these campaigns. You can absolutely have something for your mass market, but when you bring it over to your Hispanic side, you want to make sure you're thinking through more than just the language.